We're getting situated here, folks, so just going to take a second. But November election's coming up, and it's heating up, and local elections too. So from the Republican Club, we want to welcome Roe Kendall and Pat Nicone to the program.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Now, first off, you guys have a big kind of event coming up, October 4th. Barbara Stone's going to be here. She's going to be your keynote speaker. And you're going to be going through the propositions, all 10 of them that are on our ballot this coming year, right? Yes. So what are we looking forward to there?
Well, she's an expert. Okay, she's been to our club before, and she has a great. She's a retired professor from Fullerton. 25 years on staff there on faculty. So she is a professor of political science and also an author.
I would have guessed that.
Exactly. So she's in it. She's on it. It's her life.
She loves it.
Yeah.
She's going to be our speaker. So she has.
And I find when we talk to the political science folks, and I've had them on previous shows, other things like that, they really just have that kind of foundational history of what's going on. They understand the origins of so much, so it kind of walks you through how we got to where we are, not just here's what's on the proposition right now, and this is what we're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such a wise observation. That's so true.
Yeah, so it can be very informative when you have a speaker like that that really kind of takes you through, here's why we're here, here's why we're in the situation we're in, and those kinds of things.
Right. Especially California, we have such a history of things going, crazy back and forth, and let's just say what it is. There's a lot of language.
More plain speaking in the propositions.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the challenges. Anybody who puts a proposition on the ballot, they can be very confusing, and it's so helpful when you have folks who can break down, okay, what this really means. Here's what it really is in a nonpartisan kind of way sometimes. They can say, okay, this is what this ballot measure is really talking about, because they can write them in very confusing ways.
Remember the gas tax?
Oh, sure.
That passed because people didn't understand it meant the opposite of what it looked like. So we have to be really clear. And people, they don't really make an effort to find out, so that's the problem. We want to educate them.
Yeah. Now you guys have a town hall coming up. You want to do on the 26th of this month, and what's it going to be about?
It's a perfect segue from what we were just talking about, because of what we just said about the ballot propositions being a little bit confusing. We're deciding to host this town hall. It's for all of our villagers and guests. We're going to be reviewing and looking into Prop 5, because Prop 5 is it's a proposition. It's just one of the propositions. It's the biggest threat to California property owners, because what it does, it wants to. I'm not going into it in detail because we'll do that at the town hall, Michael. But it wants to lower the threshold, the vote threshold, down from 66%, 66 and two-thirds down to 55%.
To raise taxes, right?
For passing bond measures.
Which is basically a loan that the state is now obliged to pay back with interest.
With interest, that's the beauty of it.
Prop 13, I don't know, I'm not an expert on that either, but I know it minimized or kept that threat. We couldn't raise taxes.
You couldn't raise property taxes,
by 1%.
Yeah, very slow and steady rise instead of the way it was before Prop 13, which was we were just raising property taxes, and here's the new bill.
Right. So they say it's going to could open the floodgates for raising property taxes. And so many people now with inflation and they're just making ends meet, and some aren't. So this is to be really devastating, and this is why we want to have it, Michael. And we're going to have it at the Performing Arts. It's up there on the screen. It's September 26th, Thursday. We have 2 to 4 p.m. We may not need that amount of time, but we are going to have Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Tax Association come. She's going to be speaking about it. She's an expert.
Howard Jarvis was famously the person who backed Proposition 13 back in, I think it was the 80s. Was that when that passed?
Still fighting for it.
Yeah, and so they're
70s or 80s?
Yeah, it was 70s or 80s, but yes.
Yeah, might have been the 70s. I think it was the 70s. But so she'll be there, and we want to have people. It's a town hall. We want people to ask questions. So it's free, no charge. So we'll have flyers out at all the clubhouses, so people can pick them up, and we'll be letting folks know by email and other sources too. So I hope a lot of people come.
Okay.
It's nonpartisan. for everyone.
For property owners, okay?
Yeah. Oh, and the renters, it will impact renters.
Sure, if my property tax, if I'm an owner of a home, my property tax goes up, it costs me more, I'm going to be, impacting that. I'm passing those costs on to the renters, right?
Yes.
So in theory, it would be that kind of thing. So the folks who are kind of yes on this campaign 5, they include the California Democratic Party, California Teachers Association, Habitat for Humanity, and California Professional Firefighters. Opponents of it are California Taxpayers Association, California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Women's Veterans Alliance, and I assume the Jarvis Foundation as well.
Yes, and I'm sure the Republican.
Yes, I'm sure the Republicans will come out of it, but those are just a few I wanted to
Yeah.
mention that there are for and against.
Yeah.
There's the argument on the other side is that the threshold's too high and we can't get anything done in terms of trying to raise taxes, right? And that's why that 66% on most bond measures is put in there, right? And so this would make it just seems to me that would make it a lot easier to pass a lot of bonds and obligate the state, right? And those are the concerns.
The state is already in a terrible, terrible situation.
Yeah. And they're obligating the taxpayers.
Yes.
The state.
Right.
Okay?
But
so it's us in the end, always.
And I know there's a note here. It says, in the years past, it also makes it easier for districts to pass parcel taxes to pay for school buildings.
Which
School
parcel
funds.
taxes also consider property taxes. So again, those are those tricky ways in which those things are worded and try to clarify that. So September 26th, you guys are going to have somebody in kind of just going through the proposition in Proposition 5.
But we'll be discussing 2 and 5. So 2, it affects the school bonds. So they'll be talking about both.
Okay. So you guys, obviously the vote is coming up. November is just around the corner. We're just talking about days at this point, hardly even
About
weeks
50,
anymore,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so what are you doing in terms of helping folks here in the community? Are you guys doing ballot markup parties, things like that?
Yeah, we've been having those. We have 2 of them. We're going to have one on October 12th over at Clubhouse 1. Clubhouse 1 in the multipurpose room on the 12th. It's a Saturday from 2 to 4.
Okay.
And then we're going to have one on October 26th at Clubhouse 5. So both ends of town. We want to cover both ends of town.
Okay.
And we'll be reviewing the propositions. We'll go over the candidates. A lot of people don't know the candidates.
Right. The down ballot candidates always have trouble getting their names out there. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm running for superintendent of schools or whatever it might be, and it's really hard because they just don't have the funding to get their name out there and be on the flyers and those kind of things.
And we have several people running for our city council. And let's see what else. We'll have our voter guide. We're working on our voter guide. The Democrats do too. We both put ours in the Globe. So if people get the Globe, they can get the voter guide. Otherwise, we're going to be distributing the voter guide as best we can and get out the word.
And real quick, before we go, any get out the vote efforts going on between now and the election?
Oh yeah, we've got a postcard campaign.
Okay.
We've got people marching around and talking to people and calling, lots of calling, but that's not
Calling,
so great.
walking, and postcards.
Yeah, the calling, nobody answers their phone if they don't know the number. So you leave a message and you don't know if that's effective or not.
Well, Ro and Pat from the Republican Club here in Laguna Woods, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Michael.
When we come back, we'll be revisiting our conversation with the Theater Guild. Stay with us.
Ooh.